and good morning. I'm your anchor, Amanda Dukevich, and you're watching the Make News Worldwide Newscast, where we make news great again. Today we have many stories to talk about. We'll cover exciting upcoming space missions, information on past terrorist attacks, updates on the presidential race, recent natural disasters, and the current standings with our Chicago baseball teams. First up, we have our space missions reporter, Kimberly Burkhardt, talking about some incredible plans for the future of space travel and exploration. Care to elaborate, Kim?
Thanks for the introduction, Amanda. As she was saying, there are plenty of awesome space missions coming up. One of the most recent plans for these missions is for NASA astronaut Scott Tingle, a Purdue graduate, to be traveling to the International Space Station in September 2017. He's the 23rd Purdue graduate to become an astronaut. He's due to return in March 2018 and will be traveling in the rocket much like this one, except it won't be falling apart. Yeah.
That is very interesting. Do any other countries have any spaceports?
Yes, actually. Some of the greatest news comes from China. They have a plan to launch a space mission to Mars. This will begin in 2020. They hope to deploy a rover on the red planet and to study the soil and atmosphere and look for traces of water, following in America's footsteps. These missions and exciting plans are an incredible showing of how far we are advancing in space travel and how close we have to stepping foot on an entire new planet.
Thank you for that update on space plans, Kim. Now we will be moving on to a much more serious topic. Here we have Mohammed Askari talking about reporting on terrorist attacks.
In the past few years, there have been quite a few terrorist attacks, but one stands in particular that has caused devastation all around the globe. This terrorist attack has struck the lives of many people. Even though it may not be the most recent news, it is still important to report and make sure people are well informed about it. This topic I'm discussing is, of course, the ISIS attack that occurred in Paris, France, and its northern suburb, Saint-Denis. This year's attack happened on November 15, 2015, and ended a day later. More than 130 people died, and more than 200 people were injured on the disturbing day. The attackers also took hostage before they became engaged in an intense standoff with the police. There were 9 terrorists involved in this attack and were all found and killed soon after. In addition, there have been a large amount of warnings and threats directed toward other parts of the globe from ISIS about possible upcoming attacks of the following other terrorist attacks. This news is very upsetting, but it is very important to let everyone know the possible dangers could be facing. Another fact, the Eiffel Tower is the most well-known symbol of France. Here's a small model of it, and let's go to it.
That is very difficult and heartbreaking to think about, but it's very important that we are kept up to date on terrorist news. Now for a very important story regarding who could possibly be the future president of our great country. Here to inform us on how this year's presidential race is coming along is our very own Emilio Rodriguez.
Though the 2016 presidential election won't be until next November, that has not stopped a fierce competition from taking place. The latest news for the candidates for our next president is that both John Kasich and Ted Cruz decided to drop out of the race only about a week and a half ago. The news came very suddenly and shocked many. Ted Cruz dropped out on May 3rd and John Kasich dropped out the day after May 4th. This was upsetting for countless supporters, but there is still a small possibility that Ted Cruz will come back into the same race. Also happening regarding the candidates' presidential campaigns is a speech Donald Trump made on May 10, 2016. Mr. Trump is known for saying countless outrageous statements, and his speeches he delivered in Spokane, Washington on this day was not an exception. He stated a number of his opinions on issues and discussed what he thinks of the election year so far. To almost no one's surprise, these comments regularly about Hillary Clinton. He was even quoted saying that Ms. Clinton was the worst abuser of women. Tension seems to be soaring between them, and Hillary is now more determined to prove Donald wrong. That was today's current presidential election news, and we will keep you updated as time draws near to the final election. The 6 months we have left until the 2016 presidential election has slowly been calming down and getting closer and closer. Here we have a chart of percentage of who's been voting. As for Hillary, you see 22%. As for Bernie Sanders, you have 40%. And as for Donald, you have 50%. Smiley face too. And hashtag feel the burn, Bernie Sanders.
Yes, the recent heated debates and drama between the candidates are seeming to be making this very clear. However, we now have some breaking news on the natural disaster occurring closer than is comfortable for most people living in the United States. I, Amanda Dukevich, will now bring you up to speed with the latest natural disaster story, an overwhelming natural disaster, a wildfire, that was reported in Canada on the Saturday right before Mother's Day. The wildfire reported right before Mother's Day is one of the worst natural disasters in Canadian history. This brutal wildfire caused nearly 100,000 people to be evacuated from the center of Canada. No one knows exactly what caused this wildfire, but many people believe it was either a cigarette thrown out by a human or a natural lightning strike that started it. The fire is estimated to cost up to $9 billion, and an entire 1,600 structures have been burnt down. Many attempts have been made to terminate the uncontrollable fire, but they seem to be doing almost nothing. At its peak, the fire had grown to nearly 400,000 acres large. To put that in perspective, that's about 1/3 the size of Rhode Island. It is thankfully burned out by now, but the damage it has caused is unfixable. Countless firefighters attempted to put out the Canadian wildfire. Thankfully, they were eventually able to put it out. It is a hat that usually wear. Finally, we have current standings and updates with both the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs. Kimberly will be giving us information on how well the teams are doing and interviewing a player from the Sox.
With all of the serious topics and breakthroughs, it's nice to relax once in a while and watch some sports. For the sport team's members, however, this is a fierce competition for glory. Currently, the Chicago White Sox are first in the AL Central teams with 23 wins and 12 losses, and the Chicago Cubs are first in the NL Central teams with 25 wins and 8 losses. The Sox's next game will be on Friday, May 13th at 6:05 p.m. Central Time against the New York Yankees, and the Cubs' next game will also be on Friday, May 13th at 1:20 p.m. Central Time. Now, we are going live to the field in the stadium where the Sox played their most recent game. I will be interviewing a player from the team. Well, Emilio, how do you feel about the competition this year? Do you think your team has a good chance of winning?
Yeah, I think we're very good up this year. We have a good team. We participate a lot. We have a strong start. If we keep playing hard and try our best, we just might win.
All right, thank you for your thoughts, Emilio Rodriguez of the Chicago White Sox. That is all for our sports news today. Back to you, Amanda.
Well, that just about wraps up our news broadcast. Thank you for tuning in to watch us today. We will continue bringing you the latest news on the most important subjects in our next broadcast. See you tomorrow morning, everybody, and thank you once again for watching the Make News Worldwide newscast,
Where we make news